Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 16. Now, this is the 69th overall podcast episode, within the Goodnight Groofs universe. Yes, nice. But this is episode 16 of the Game Groofs podcast, the all-encompassing gaming podcast from us, the Goodnight Groofs.
Matt, can I ask you something? You said it's the 69th podcast in the Groof podcasting universe.
Yes.
Is that like the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Do we have crossover? Do we have someone, Kevin Feige of sorts? Is that you, Matt? And can you tell us when we will see the first Infinity War level event?
Ooh, I think the first Infinity War level event may be coming soon. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, my name is Matt, as Paul so graciously mentioned and introed me there. And today I'm joined by Mike, Josh, and Paul himself. But let's get right into it. Instead of asking you guys how you're doing this week, I want to ask everyone what their peak of the week has been. Paul, what's the best thing that happened to you this week, sir?
I bought a new computer. I'm pretty psyched. I've been playing video games and doing all of my computing on a nine-year-old MacBook. It was great 9 years ago, best one you could buy, but not so great now, especially when it was never really meant for gaming or doing half the shit I do on it. So that wasn't. Don't ask what I do on it. All right, that's not your business. All right, but I bought a new gaming gaming laptop, and I know I could have gone desktop master race over here, but it's hard, even with the pre-builds, it's hard to get a good deal on them right now. And I just move around the house too much. I like to sit at my desk, but I also like to sit in front of the TV and play some games, and also watch The Office. Well, my partner sits over there and plays games, and so we got like a whole thing going on. And so I'm having a great time. I'm finally able to play stuff. And shout out, honorable mention to another peak of my week, actually getting to play a game on this thing. Yeah. I had such a fun time last night. Josh and Mike and I played. We were on Mike's stream on Twitch, and we played Back 4 Blood on Game Pass, and it was a ton of fun. Definitely recommend. I think that's a pretty great game. I see a lot of articles coming out being like, this is like best case scenario Game Pass. Like, this is just like a fun thing to toss up for free on a subservice. So anyway, a lot of fun, excited, and kudos. I launched the game and it looked really good. And that was the first time. Most of the games I've been launching this week, since I bought this, I like go through and I put everything to ultra and like look at my FPS, like just to go like, oh yeah, it's running good. But because as opposed to when I used to do it, whereas I'd go and I'd like it would auto default me to the lowest graphics, and I'd be like, no, I gotta put this on the lowest resolution too. I can't just be on lowest graphics. And so now it was kind of cool. When I played Back 4 Blood last night, I didn't even think to look at my settings. Everything just ran at whatever it ran at. It looked really good. Everything was smooth, and I had a really good time. So good to know. Nice to have a little bit of worry-free gaming over here.
I don't know if anyone else has the same experience with a GeForce card, but what I'll have to do is I'll like open a game for the first time and it'll be like default settings, and then I close the game, and when I open it back up the second time, I guess it reads the game in my library, and then it'll give me the optimal settings.
GeForce has been so fucky for me in the past. Not necessarily that, but every now and again it'll just be like, all right, I'm GeForce, and this is Jackass, and your mouse and keyboard don't work. It's like, all right, thanks, great, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you, Paul. I know you had been running like a partitioned Windows on an old Mac forever.
I sure did. And
Jesus, actually?
Yeah, of course. I can't play half the shit on Mac. I could play like, WoW and stuff, but otherwise I couldn't. And, Matt and some other friends would want to play PC games. So you can get Windows for free, of course, if you get the trial version. They don't like put any rules on it besides just putting a shitty little watermark down there, and you can't like change your desktop wallpaper. So I partitioned my hard drive, shoved a Windows, free Windows on there, and had a really terrible Steam library full of garbage games that barely ran, but I made do, and that thing does not owe me any money, although I am trying to sell it to some losers online for way more than it's worth. So we'll see how that goes.
So if you have a bid, contact us on the Patreon. Mike, what was the best thing that happened to you this week?
I'm not really sure, but I've been doing a lot of streaming lately. It's been a lot of fun, so I'm gonna pick that. Doing a lot of scary streams, spooky streams, horrifying games like Visage. Yeah, that's about it.
Nice. When I jumped into your stream, the immediate thing that came to mind was PT. It looks like a modern take on something like PT.
Yeah.
Josh, what about you? What was the best thing that happened to you this week, sir?
Back for Blood is an honorable mention. It was fun to game with some boys again. Matt is literally in shambles right now. Because just for backstory here, Game Pass, the Xbox app on PC actually hates Matt and is discriminatory against Matt. So shout outs to him for having a miserable time while we were all playing Back for Blood.
It happens. It's all right. We'll get through it.
We will, yeah. But anyways, enough shitting on Matt. I would say it was probably Sunday, actually. I got to finally do some streaming with the old wife, and it was fun. We did some Amnesia, and it was scary. Not near as scary as what Mike was playing, I would say. Visage is like 10 times scarier than Amnesia. So, kudos to Mike for even doing 20 minutes of that at a time.
I have a hard time recommending Amnesia, but at the same time, I feel like if people want to play a good game during the spooky season, that should be on your list if you haven't played it before.
Classic.
But I've said this before, and I was telling Josh this during his stream, that I think some of the puzzles in the game are just a little bit unfair, just with a lack of direction and stuff. But it's an older game, and I'm pretty sure it was one of those earlier big indie titles, so little bit of jankiness to it. As far as my peak of the week, it was getting back into a gym schedule after a few years. It felt really good. I went to the gym each day this week so far. Made me feel pretty good about myself and just felt like I was being productive. Throw on a podcast, get on the elliptical for 25, 30 minutes, do a little lift, and then maybe 10 more minutes on the elliptical and head on out of there. It's a good time. And guys, I feel a little thinner and stronger already.
We're proud of you
to hear it.
Let's move on to trending topics. In trending topics, I give our panelists a choice between 3 search terms. Count them, 3. They have to tell me which term they think got the most searches over the last 7 days via stats from Google Trends. We'll play 3 quick rounds here. Round 1. SpongeBob, Among Us, or Pokemon?
What cursed fucking lineup is this? Amogus.
Pokemon.
SpongeBob.
It was Pokemon, and it wasn't really close. I thought it'd be a little bit closer, but it wasn't. Round 2. Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, or Spider-Man?
Avengers.
Spider-Man.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's just go for it.
Avengers, and again, not close.
It went on Game Pass this last week, and I think probably more people played it than ever, and it's getting a lot of searches.
And you can even pay for an XP boost now.
Get the game for free. Why not? You have all this money you saved. Why not buy XP?
Become a whale for Avengers. Do it now.
You can get it on Game Pass unless you're me, and then you can't. So
yeah. You can get it, you just can't download it.
I guess, yeah.
You just kind of look at
Does
it
that
in the
work?
Xbox store, and that's about it.
I can look at the error message. That's fun.
It's about as fun as playing the game, I'll be honest.
I'll save myself some time.
Pick anything to look at the error message.
Last round. Haunted House, Corn Maze, or Jack-o'-lantern?
Corn Maze.
Haunted House. Haunted House.
Haunted House. This was
God damn
fairly close between
That's
Haunted House and Corn
clean
Maze.
sweep, baby. It's clean sweep.
Me living in the Southeast. And, with the Midwest and the Southeast, you'd really think that would be the prevailing winner. But you know what? Whatever.
It's just Haunted House is a fun thing to search. People are like, where am I going this weekend? Can I find a haunted house?
Or can I find a corn maze?
Who's looking for corn mazes?
Yeah, right. They're going to be everywhere.
Me?
Every farm has
I
a
love
corn maze.
mazes.
I love corn mazes. They're great. Call me Yee, baby.
All right. I feel like we're moving through stuff today, but we're on to the big question already.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
All right. We got an interesting one today. The Nintendo Switch OLED model released last week to coincide with the launch of the well-received Metroid Dread, which is on pace to become the highest-selling Metroid game. The first side-scrolling Metroid game in almost 20 years is sitting at a mighty score of 88 on OpenCritic, and the OLED Switch has received generally favorable reviews from the press. Nintendo would seem to be riding high right now. However, Many people also have questions and concerns about the direction Nintendo is going, which is to say, every which way, just as they always have. There are concerns about Nintendo's poor online and social services, which will soon include the N64 and Sega Genesis expansion pack at an extra cost, the continued Joy-Con drift, which allegedly is better with the OLED model, more cloud version games like the Kingdom Hearts trilogy, the pricing of the original Switch compared to the OLED model, and more. So here's the question. Where does Nintendo stand right now, and what exactly do we think is Nintendo's strategy going forward? It's pretty much impossible to predict Nintendo's strategy with specifics because their hardware is always so interesting. But generally, what do we think their strategy is now going forward, and where do we think that they currently stand? Let's go to you first, Paul, to get your thoughts on this.
Oh, I was normally I have a lot of thoughts. This one I went in, I looked at it, and I spent some time thinking, and I earnestly think, I mean, the best answer I can give is that I don't know because it's so fucking random. Generally, I feel like they go from good console to weird console. I think that's generally, or at least like popular console to weird console. N64 to fucking GameCube, which well loved, wasn't a big seller. Wii, which was a huge, massive worldwide like phenomenon, to fucking Wii U, which sold like the least amount of units of all time. And I don't, that's not an actual number, but it was terrible.
I have a number here. I'll get to it when I
perfect.
When I talk about
And Switch, of course, which is again another like break the world. Everyone fucking owns a Switch, and they don't even play video games. For some reason, they own it. So anyway, yeah. Ultimately, I think the next thing's a weird console. I think Switch is going to last a super long time. Like OLED Switch, I feel like they're not slowing down on this. It's fucked up because just because the Tegra GPU in this thing, it's just old. Things can't run on it. Modern games that came out a couple years ago, people are like, you couldn't even port it to the Switch because it wouldn't work. You'd have to make it a blocky mess like Witcher 3, which like, hey, kudos to the team who made that work, and kudos to, and if you want to play that and enjoy that experience on the go, that is literally the only way to really properly, without streaming, enjoy The Witcher 3 on the go. So that is an option, sure, but it's a shit option. And I think you can engineer something better than that. I think that Nintendo could put a modern CPU, a more modern GPU in there, 5 years ahead of what they put in. And obviously it takes work to make that work and be efficient and not just be like shoving a smartphone CPU in something with fans. But I still think it's possible for them to make a huge leap. The stuff we see on the new iPhones and things like that, again, it doesn't compare because of the fans and the way that the systems are built. But it's pretty impressive when you look at some modern mobile tech. And the Switch is just not that. So I think the Switch is going to last way too long. It's already lasting kind of too long, and I think it's probably going to go another 2 years or so, and then we might see finally them announce a weird thing that I can't predict because it's going to be bad.
Paul, because you have sort of you're on the pulse of like the techie side of things, and you know what things should mostly range in price for the most part. Mm-hmm. Is the Switch, in your opinion, even worth the price tag for what you're getting?
Yeah, because no one else is doing it. That's the thing, right? And I think once the Steam Deck comes out, that's going to change things. And I'm not saying for, the average user, because it's about how easy it is to get into, and that's another selling feature, right? So you can look at a couple things. You could use the smartphone you already have, which probably is more powerful in terms of raw power than the Switch, but your smartphone doesn't have pass-through charging, so you can't like charge it and have it just run on like plugged in. And if it runs plugged in, it keeps like uncharging, recharging the battery, fucks up your battery. It doesn't have fans built in unless you like use one of those weird Asus ROG phones where you shove a fan thing on the back, and even that's external, just blowing at the phone holes. So that's not really good. So I mean, ultimately there isn't anything in that side, and on the flip side, when there's stuff like the Steam Deck, that's cool, but also I think it's still going to be really accessible in the sense that like most people could pick up a computer and probably download Steam and play a game, but it's not as accessible as going out and buying a Switch and just picking up a cartridge and shoving it in there and playing a Switch. And so I think that there will be there's a better value to something like the Steam Deck, but ultimately I think the ease of use and familiarity of the Switch and the fact that it just will run games not better than on your phone, but more streamlined than on your phone. Like it has a more clear use case for what it is, and it has the built-in controllers. It's just it's the whole package, right? And so I think that's the only thing that Nintendo's doing that no one else is doing, is it's the whole package. And like I said, I think Steam Deck might give them a run for their money on value for that. But the actual stuff, the specs in there, the OLED Switch actually is pretty good. The OLED screen, even at 720p, is pretty solid for the price. Some of the stuff they have in there and the components, and just from what I hear, the build quality is a lot better. So I mean, value's not nothing. It's, it takes a lot. But I mean, if you look at stuff like, I don't know, the base Switch, and I don't know, it's hard to say, but I think in 2016 it was good value. I think it's, or 2017, but I think it's really losing out on that now.
I would agree with that. And that's part of the thing with Nintendo, is that they just don't really drop in price. The games and the hardware. The hardware takes a really long time before you see that. I went on the Nintendo website like an hour before the show, because I was looking at my list of games that I want to play, especially during October time, and I was like, Luigi's Mansion 3, I'm gonna go buy that. It's still $60. Yep. I thought maybe potentially, I don't know why, I had some pipe dream that it would be a little bit lower, but it's still $60 2 years after release. I just don't want to buy it at that price. I might be able to buy the physical cartridge on Amazon right now for less than that, so I may consider doing that. I think that makes Nintendo's obviously it's working for them. If it wasn't, then they probably would be lowering the prices, but it's very annoying, and it's keeping me from buying it. If it was $50, $40, I would have bought it probably, but $60, I just don't want to do that. I don't know. Mike, what about you? Where does Nintendo stand in your mind right now, and where do you think their strategy is going forward?
So me and my friends had a discussion about this literally last weekend about Nintendo directly. And I'm going to have a hot take here and just say that I'm not the biggest Nintendo fan as a company. I believe that Nintendo hasn't been customer friendly or customer centric for probably the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
And I don't see them changing that. So right now, I think they stand in a shitty spot. I think everyone's noticing more and more that the Switch is literally a cell phone and can't actually play games that they themselves have made. Like
the shitty cell phone too.
Yeah. Like Mario Golf doesn't really work, and I mean it's kind of upsetting. The biggest selling point for Mario Golf was the everyone hits their shots at once and then races, and you can't play that locally because the Switch can't handle it.
Great for a sports game, right? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And so it's like that feature's only online, and it's like, okay. I think you can do 1 and 2 person split screen with it, but when you do, the quality goes down to like 480 on the TV.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's really bad. So I think people are seeing that. I think there are games that Nintendo makes that, like Metroid Dread, and I want to say like the upcoming Mario Party that they're doing, where they go all out and they actually like put out a good product and make people be like, oh, Nintendo game's so good. But then after that Nintendo game goes out and everyone's happy, they shovel literal shit out there as fast as possible to get people to buy it. And oh, by the way, we're never lowering our prices because they know that they can. And it's just kind of it's not like a hostile type of thing. It's not a hostile strategy by them by any means, but it's a shitty one. And talking about it, this idea of what their strategy is going forward, I think as random as Nintendo is, I think we kind of can see what Nintendo's strategy is going forward. It's whatever Microsoft and PlayStation is doing now, Nintendo will finally start doing that in 10 years. It took them about a decade to realize that DLC is a thing and people like their games getting updated. So it'll take them about another decade for people to realize, for Nintendo to realize that people like, online services that work, voice over online services.
Hey, they have voiceover. You just have to use your cell phone and have it beside you on speaker.
Yeah, hopefully you have a smartphone that can play the games.
You do. It's called the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and controllers that work and don't have drift issues or
Well, did
Wi-Fi
you see
issues, because if
Nintendo
you
just
cover them, it
Nintendo just
just
said
like
this
fucks
week
with it.
that that drift will never be fixed. That was
Oh,
their thing.
I saw that.
We saw that
Because at this
article.
point,
Yeah.
it's not worth their time, because in another 2 years they're gonna have a new console. Why would they fix the drift issues? So, yeah,
Jesus.
it's just they're not a customer friendly company. They never really have been. I never really understood the love for Nintendo. Like, yeah, they make good games every once in a while, and I will probably get flamed for that statement, but like, they're about as shitty as every other corporation. That's just the truth of it.
And it's weird with their games, weird release schedules, like releasing big hitters in the same year and then going like 2 years without anything. It's so weird. I'll go into my spiel before we jump over to Josh. I think going forward, Nintendo's just gonna Nintendo. They're always gonna be a little bit weird, and they're going to have successes. But I think it's also important to remember that Nintendo can fail, as Paul alluded to earlier. The Wii U was a massive failure. 13.5 million units sold. We don't have exact numbers for the PS Vita, but it sold somewhere between 10 and 15 million, so it potentially sold more than the Wii U. And the PS Vita, that handheld console, is considered a joke. It's considered a joke by many. So Nintendo is not impervious to failure, and I think it's important to remember that when we see them making bad decisions at times, they got really lucky with Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. They were really lucky that those were generationally good games, because if they weren't, the Switch would not have come out the gate with the same steam and the same hype that it did. Despite it being a neat piece of technology, you have to have the software, which is weird, and that's sort of contradictory to the Wii U, because the Wii U had pretty good software. We see all of those games going to the Switch, but the actual hardware was so bad that even that stopped sales. The Switch is a neat piece of technology, but you still have to have games, especially when you're a console that's not going to really have third-party games like PlayStation and Xbox. You have to have solid first-party games, and they got very lucky, very, very lucky that Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild were really good games and beloved games. Because if not, I think the Switch is viewed completely differently if those didn't come out the gate. Josh, what about you? What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I'll probably be pretty short, because out of everyone here, I'd say I'm probably the least big on Nintendo. In fandom and hatred, I'm very neutral on Nintendo. That said, the Switch was the one console that actually grabbed me. I actually have played it more than I've played pretty much any other Nintendo console, literally ever. So clearly, it did things right. But as pretty much everyone has said, it runs like ass, like just teetotal, just ass. And I mean, I think Nintendo could play their cards right and literally just release it again with just like $500 to $600 worth of hardware and just sell it for that price point, and people will fucking buy it. Upscale all your games, make it to where your games can run. It doesn't even necessarily have to be on par with like Xbox or PlayStation as they are now. Like, it could be below, but good God, what they release now was just like, it's so atrocious. It's shocking. Like, Breath of the Wild can run on that thing. And I mean, at times it barely fucking does. Would it be nice to see them, do that? Yeah, it'd be wonderful. Great. However, this is Nintendo we're talking about here. I could see them go I could see them bring out like double-ended dildos and be like, this is your new Nintendo console, ladies and gentlemen. Have fun hanging out and playing with these, baby. Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Dicks. Like, anything is possible with them at this point. And
we'll see you in 10 years when we sell something good again.
Pretty much, yeah. I feel like I just to throw out the old hot take, I think we're going to get another Wii U situation with whatever's next. Because as shitty as the hardware is on this thing, they struck gold with the motherfucker. It's been great. It sold a shitload. It's been a good console. So I think they're about to be like, all right, how do we fuck this up as much as possible and just destroy it? Now, do I think it'll actually be as bad as Wii U? No, but I think they might fuck it up here. just based on their track record.
I think that they're really going all in on the handheld side of things. I mean, we see with the Switch Lite, which the Joy-Cons are attached to the console. They put a nicer screen with the OLED on the Switch, which is, that is just for handheld mode. You're not using that when it's docked. So I think the trend that we're seeing is that whatever the next Nintendo console is, if it's another variation of the Switch or whatever it is, it's going to have additional handheld features, and it's probably going to cater to that a little bit more. I think if they're smart, that is their niche. Like, they have that over PlayStation and Xbox. And I think that playing into that is probably the smart move. But again, they always do the opposite. And to your point about the double-sided dildos, what we know about the N64 controller, I think it would be a three-ended dildo as the next console.
A trident.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A literal variable trident of cocks. Love to see it.
You brought up a interesting point about how like they could dump like $500 worth of hardware into their system, make it actually powerful, et cetera, et cetera. We also have to note that Nintendo has, and I think always has and always will, operate on this idea that they need to make their profits off of their consoles as well as their games. Everything needs to be profitable or they won't sell it. Right. So
it's true.
If they do that, it's going to be a $700 console.
Yeah, Microsoft and Sony famously sell it a lot and then make money on their games. So
I do wonder. Hell, they could make that fucking money back with the fact that they keep their damn games at $60.
They could, 100%. They don't give a shit. That's not how they operate.
Stingy motherfuckers.
I also think it's fair to mention, Matt, that you mentioned how they they moved to handheld, and I think that's really important to note too. Speaking of like weird business decisions. The Wii U was clearly a Wii, but hey, let's make it more handheld. And then they went all in on the Switch. They cannibalized Game Boy or 3DS or whatever you want to call it. They cannibalized handheld. And yeah, sure, it's cool that you have handheld and the Nintendo console in the same piece. That's the selling feature, right? But they don't even really say it like that. They don't say like, hey, I've never seen a single ad. It's like, remember how great Game Boy is? Remember how great Nintendo consoles are? Well, now it's one. Right. They don't even play on that factor. And yet, to get that, they cannibalized half. Like they're far more. Like the 3DS sold so much more than the Wii U. I mean, it sold so much more than a lot of consoles. They make so much money on handheld over the last couple decades, and it's crazy to me that they threw it all away so they could sell. Sure, maybe as many Switches as you sold Wiis. Great, you sold all those Wiis and DSs at the same time, and now you're not, and you're not even. They're not even really playing that game where they're trying to like show off how cool that is. It's weird.
I honestly think that that's also the sales there. That's very telling as to the status of Nintendo right now. That the people who may have only had the DS because they were always gone or whatever and didn't have the home console, maybe a lot of those people didn't buy the Switch, or a lot of people who had the Wii U or the Wii or whatever, but didn't have the DS, maybe didn't buy the Switch. Otherwise, the Switch's numbers probably would be a little bit higher. It would be more of a combination of the two. I'm sure there's crossover. There are a lot of people who had both the handheld and the Wii, but I think the numbers are pretty telling in that regard as well.
Maybe that's why that could also be why they ended up going all in on Switch, because they had this weird time where they saw these numbers boost so much for DS and 3DS, and then it eclipsed the Wii U by such a margin, even though that had a handheld aspect. That might have been like, oh, okay, clearly home console maybe isn't even the move. Let's go more into let's focus more handheld, less home console, but with the option. That's where the Switch idea comes from too. So I don't know, but that could, maybe those sales could be also telling of where they want to take they're like, hey, if people are buying us for handheld, then fuck it, we'll be the handheld company.
It's really difficult to understand why Nintendo is so weird too, and why they're so different. Because at first you would be able to chalk it up to, well, consoles, not necessarily online services, are really big in Japan. They're a Japanese company, but so is Sony. So Sony is innovating, Nintendo is lagging behind in that regard. So you can't chalk it up to that. It's just there's got to be something within the structure of Nintendo specifically that creates this difficulty for innovation, and that's gonna be a problem at some point. I mean, like I said, we saw that with the Wii U. It was very apparent. It's not just me. I didn't just see it. Everybody saw it, right? So
just you, Matt. You're on your own.
Yeah. So this could very well happen again.
I think the issue with Nintendo is that their idea of innovation is completely different from Sony's.
Right.
Sony's idea of innovation is iterate on the latest edition, but make it better.
Right.
What can we bring to the customer that will, wow them, delight them, dual sense them. But, Nintendo's like, okay, what can we do to make you play games differently?
Literal
And that's kind of
cardboard.
like what literal cardboard, but I've seen it, I've interacted with it, and it is genius. Like, I don't know why they came up with it. I don't know where they came up with it, but it's legitimately very, like, Labo is so good.
Yeah.
But like, I can see them going back to the handheld conversation. It's almost like they cannibalized their handhelds, realized it after they released the Switch that they had done so, and then decided to release the Switch Lite. And I almost wonder if they're going to have Switch just go into the handheld and then release another home console that's somewhat Switch-esque, but not really.
Maybe you can use your Switch with it.
Maybe. And that would be cool. And I would be down with that, kind of like the Wii, the Wii U. No, but like the issue with the Wii U was, firstly, the name was stupid. Secondly, the hardware was kind of just like atrocious. Whereas Switch, the hardware is, yes, atrocious, but at least it's
elegant
usable
in a way.
and yeah, it's not ugly.
Yeah.
And the games on Wii U were great. They're fantastic. They utilize the gamepad in ways that games hadn't done before, where you can have asymmetrical multiplayer, where you can have, party games where one person is against four. I can see the Switch going to that. I don't know if they will, but I kind of hope they do. It would be more interesting and actually have a console that can run games at good frame rates.
Imagine.
But
I think that would be an interesting route to take, and it really does almost seem like the Switch is turning into a handheld before our eyes almost.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts on this, or shall we move on?
One final thought, and this is really the fixer that they're not going to do, but if the console was more like, if the console was the Switch and they kept it similar, this is weird technology and didn't work in this scenario either, but QA is bad at Microsoft. So, but the Microsoft Surface, there was a Surface system where you had you could dock. It was this, I think it was the original Surface Book, and you have like a screen you could take off as a tablet. But when you dock it, that like it has the PC and the tablet, but when you dock it, it gets like the power of the discrete GPU in the base. That worked like shit in a lot of ways. It worked well, like when it worked. It didn't, like, it wasn't bad in its execution, but it just, like, the QA was god awful and it was buggy as hell. But that's a cool idea, and I think makes a lot of sense when you look at docking the Switch and then all of a sudden it targets for a slightly higher thing. There's obviously tech that's kind of like that in the dock almost. Maybe it's hard to tell, but ultimately I think if they beefed up the dock and then they targeted 720p in the hand and 1080p, or even, that's not, I don't know, let's not shoot for 4K, but why not? Fuck it. Fuck you, Nintendo. 4K. You can put it in the dock, shove it in there. It's great. You never need more than 720, maybe 1080 for your eyes this close to your face on a tiny screen. You put 4K on the big screen. That's possible. It's really, really possible. But again, I think it's the kind of thing that would require Josh's thing with like $500, $600 console at best, and because they're so into wanting to make money off the console. So I don't know if that would ever work, but it's so doable. I'm sure there's engineering difficulties and it would cost a lot of R&D and time, but that's so doable and it would be perfect. It's the way the Switch should be. That should be the Switch 2. It won't be. They're not going to make a Switch 2. They're going to make a weird fucking thing. But that should be what they do.
Yep.
That makes a ton of sense, and I think that would be a really elegant Switch 2.0.
Mm-hmm. It could be buggy, and that's fine. People would still buy it.
All right, let's move on. Let's play a game. Let's play Name That Game. In Name That Game, I give the panelists up to 10 clues. The clues start off more vague and progressively get more specific. The first panelist to guess correctly wins, but you only get one guess. If you guess wrong, you're out.
I'm for Paul to destroy us again. Let's go.
Not Mike's been really sweeping this lately, so we'll see.
Now
why I
we
suck,
take
basically.
game title suggestions from our $1 plus supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/Goodnight Groofs, where you can message us your suggestion. All right,
The value.
here we go. First clue. This game first released in 2018. This game originally released on 2 consoles, but later came to PC as well. This game...
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nope. 2 consoles?
Fuck. I thought maybe it was
Two consoles?
I don't know.
Hey,
I couldn't
all
remember
right.
when it. Okay.
All right, now, Paul, if at the end they don't have a guess and you have one, let you guess.
Cool.
This game holds a score of 90 on Metacritic for its console releases. The genre would be considered third-person action RPG.
Hmm.
This game won Best RPG at the Game Awards 2018.
Fuck.
This game was a new, refreshing take on a somewhat niche series in order to reach a broader audience. This game sold over 17 million units, so that strategy worked. This game received a major DLC expansion in 2019. 2 more clues.
Oh my god.
This game was developed and published by a large Japanese company.
Oh shit! There goes my guess out the window.
Final clue.
Son of a bitch.
It is the developer's most successful game to date after doing monster numbers.
A Monster Hunter World.
Yes, Monster Hunter World.
Ah, shit. Yeah, I would have never guessed that.
That was hard.
Yeah.
Paul, did you have any inkling?
No, I did not. I mean, obviously, Monster gave me the answer, but
Right.
otherwise I would not have known.
I see. I had no clue Monster Hunter World got a 90 because I played that game and I thought it was hot shit. So,
Wow. Hate mail to gamegroofs@gmail.com.
Had the donkey style of "fuck you, Dark Souls."
All right. Well, Mike
It's an
won.
acquired taste.
Mike won, barely, but he won. All right. Let's move on to the water cooler. Let's take a quick break around the water cooler to discuss the games that we've been playing this week. Josh, tell us a little bit about the games that you've been playing this week, sir.
It's a very short list. So the easy one, New World. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing it. I haven't played it actually since the weekend, just because it's a game that's like really fun to dive into and put some time into. But when you only got like an hour, it's just really not a great game to dive into because that hour is going to be spent running around the world. I don't know. I've got some thoughts I've got to get out there. Maybe I'll do like a write-up on it. I'm thinking about it. We'll see. Anyways, to Back for Blood, though, that I played yesterday. Hot diggity damn. That game's a goddamn blast. It is like, it nails the spiritual successor feel for Left 4 Dead. It is so goddamn fun. Like, it was like so nice to, because like played with Paul and Mike and then a random every now and again. And it was just so refreshing. It felt like I was back on a couch with the boys playing Left 4 Dead again. And the shooting mechanics were satisfying. It has that Twitch feel almost. Like it rewards you for being like good with like your shot placement, you know, which weapons you're using, how you place yourself, all that. It felt like it drew more on the FPS tendencies than Left 4 Dead ever did.
Oh, okay.
So, and I really appreciate that about it, and it makes it feel a little more skill-based. Not that Left 4 Dead, you know, didn't have its place for it, but Back 4 Blood just feels like it requires a little more, as we got our fucking ass kicked throughout the majority of the evening. And Back 4 Blood being on Game Pass, big advantage, because I originally just wasn't even going to get the damn thing. And then I was like, free on Game Pass. And I was like, shit, the value. So yeah, that's really what I'm playing this week.
Almost as valuable as the Goodnight Groofs Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs.
Just actually, I'd argue. Yeah, actually, no, you're right. Yeah.
Get the fuck out, Josh. I can tell.
I would say the Patreon is more value. At least it gives me more value considering I unsubbed to Game Pass considering I can't download their fucking games. So anything else, Josh?
I'm constantly bringing up sore spots for Matt, so I just really like to apologize. Please don't fire me. That's all I have, Matt.
Mike, what did you play this week?
Let's look at the Steam list. Back 4 Blood. I played that yesterday. It was a blast.
Everyone make sure to mention Back 4
than...
Blood too, since I wasn't able to play with you.
I want to talk about how much fun we had. It was like a real Groof. Like it was the first time the Groofs all got together really and played a game.
Yeah, it's a shame that there was that whole slot open. It was weird.
Matt, just buy it.
I've been, let's see. I've been on the scary games kick, so I'm playing through Resident Evil 7, which is great. Came out a while ago. If you aren't aware of this game, you've been living in a hole. Played Visage, which is terrifying. Would not recommend to anyone ever. And then played some Phasmophobia with Josh. Which the new update, the game's completely different from last year, so kudos to the one developer working on it. He's doing an absolute bang up job. And then I've been playing this game like when I'm bored and don't want to play a game that requires me to think. Cat Goes Fishing, in which you play as a cat that goes fishing.
Whoa.
Bold.
It's about as good as like maybe like a mini clip flash game.
Ooh, Paul,
like
Paul's awake now.
Yeah, that's me.
But yeah, I just play it whenever I'm really bored and need something that's not mind inducing. Oh, and I've been playing Dead by Daylight. Because I'm a degenerate and
You're obsessed.
I'm just gonna keep playing it. So that's about it.
Mike, do you like?
I don't have much to report.
Do you like fishing in real life as much as you like it in video games?
I've never gone fishing.
Oh wow! So it's like a fantasy thing for you.
No interest in the stinky fish. I just like
that. Is hilarious. Wow!
I feel like Mike would now just by proxy be like an expert fisherman. Like,
that's really funny.
Yes. Oh,
I'm waiting for him to cast his line. He like clips himself.
There's a 1-to-1 ratio between video game fishing and real life fishing.
I think there is.
Mike, are you aware of there's a game for PSVR which is Final Fantasy Fishing? I don't know what it's called. I don't remember what it's called, but it's a Final Fantasy game that's about fishing. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't.
Fuck.
It's up your alley. Up your alley.
What about you, Paul? What did you play this week?
Well, you know what? I played a few things this week. I'm going to steal a couple things from you, Matt, because we did play Phasmophobia on Friday, and that was pretty fun. I set myself up real nicely here to play Phasmophobia. I had these fake flickery candles that I have here, which I turned on. I turned all my lights off, got all creepy in my room here. And yeah, it was a good time. We sucked. We sucked so bad.
We were terrible.
I think at some point all of us are gonna have to get together. Maybe we'll do a Groove stream. We've been talking about it, Phasmophobia, because Matt and I truly don't know what to do. We know now vaguely what you're supposed to do, but like how to do it and like when to leave the house and enter the house again, and when you should not, get the fuck out of there when you hear a noise. But it was scary. I got legitimately pretty scared. At one point, Rachel was in here while I was playing, like just sitting on the bed, and multiple times she like kind of sneezed or something, and Matt freaked out because he heard it through his microphone. He's like, "Fuck, what the fuck? Like, stop, Rachel! What the hell?" Like, it's so like anytime a noise happens like out of nowhere, it was so funny. But yeah, that was pretty fun. But definitely good. Yeah, continuing the spooky train. Played Back for Blood. Obviously, we all had a good time playing that. Probably highlight of my week. Just kidding, but it was a lot of fun, and it was good. Matt, we love you. And New World. I also played New World, of course. I couldn't. Part of the reason I bought this PC definitely was not to play New World, but New World was kind of an eye opener where I was like, oh, this is the first time something absolutely won't run on my computer. Like New World was the first game that I thought I should be able to run. Like I just thought, oh, it's an MMO. I should be able to kind of run it on like potato, like 1280, 720, like the worst shit resolution, like just to play it, right? And nothing. It would just not go. I got like 5 FPS in the starting area. So that was good. So I did obviously buy New World when I bought the PC. It is fine. I played for about 95 minutes, and I remember talking to Matt about this, and I went, should I play a little bit more? I don't think I like it, but I'm worried about going over the refund, but I think I need to play more to see how I feel. I've played about 3 to 4 hours now. I feel bad. I don't like it that much. But on the flip side, because I'm committed, I'm gonna put way more time in now because like fuck it. So hopefully I grow to love it. Like I'm going to commit because I've paid 50 Canadian dollars for it. So I'm in. I'm gonna keep playing. It's neat. I don't hate it or anything. I just the there's not enough of a theme for me yet. Where I feel like it does feel like, I know this is a common complaint, but kind of generic, and I just don't feel like into the world enough. Like there's not enough of fantasy for me yet. That being said, though, I think having a good company and having like good people and kind of like building up a town and building up and like taxing and getting your own house and stuff, I think that's kind of like gonna help me kind of get into that fantasy of what the game can be. But as it stands right now, I haven't really joined. We have a Groove Company if anyone wants to play, by the way. But I haven't joined the Groove Company. I haven't really gotten into the game and met a lot of people yet. I've mostly been soloing through, fetch quests, and that's meh. It is cool. It is cool, and Rachel and I've been watching through the Harry Potter movies, which I like. Just FYI, I'm not a big Harry Potter guy. I'm medium, but Rachel's like a huge Harry Potter guy. So we're blasting through those, and I've been playing New World during, and that's actually a pretty good way to play the game. I think when you're doing like crafting, and it's a good
Any MMO.
Zen. But I feel like this is a really good Zen background game. There's a story so far or anything. There isn't like a lot going on. A lot of it's just like you're here and you're roaming and you're doing your thing. And I'm sure that changes, but that's kind of how it feels. So it's like, it's good to have something to not numb your mind while it's happening. But yeah, I'm excited. That's all to say. I'm excited to play more New World. As much as it's not like gripping me yet, I think now that I'm forcibly committed, I'm gonna get my money's. I'm gonna fucking sponge this thing for my money's worth, and I'm gonna try to get as much as I can out of it. I will say, this was the first spec shock where I've been like 60 FPSing it on like Ultra and a lot of things, which, I'm probably pushing it. But I get to a settlement in this game, and boy, do I drop. There are just like a lot of people right now hanging out there, and it's crazy, but it's not bad. I'm excited to play more. Hopefully we can get a good group together, and I can understand what the exact vibe is, but it's cool.
Thing that really helps with settlements is turning down the number of nameplates that you can see.
I turned it to 2, and boy, did not do a whole lot.
Okay, interesting. So to play on my theme for this week, I couldn't really play New World this week because I have this persistent issue where map markers don't show up. Not even map markers, just points of interest don't show up. So the map is literally useless to me, so I can't actually do anything. The social menu also doesn't work at all. And that started late last week. I would love to play the game more. I really would, but it's actually impossible for me to play right now when the markers don't work and the points of interest don't show up, because I don't know where to go. I literally don't know where to go. It's not like WoW Classic where you get in your quest text, it'll tell you a certain area to go. Like I guess I could look at some third-party map online or something, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna wait till it's working.
They expect you to use the markers. They build the game around that. Like, they don't tell you, hey, go to the left of this tree down the road. It's just like, go to where it says it on your fucking map, dumbass.
Right.
Yeah.
And as Paul mentioned, we played Phasmophobia. When he said we were terrible. We were. We need a guide, I think, going through it. And we joined we did like a public game with 2 other random people. One person didn't have a mic, one person did. The one person with a mic was like kind of taking the lead on things, and we were learning a little bit through him. But I would just like, when he would leave a room, I would just like open cabinets up, and he'd walk back in and he'd be like, what the hell's going on? Why are the cabinets opening in this kitchen?
We went to this big kitchen and like a farmhouse, and Matt opened he must open 20 plus cabinet doors, and they were all open, and the dude walks in, he's like tripping on the cabinet doors almost. He's like, who opened all the cabinet doors? Like, what's happening in here? Like, he's like, how do we solve this? And Matt and I are just like fucking around.
So it's tradition. We didn't know what we were doing, so we just had fun that way. But I would love to play on a Groove stream at some point. I've also been playing more Far Cry 6. This game has been a roller coaster for me in the past week, which is sort of why the review is still pending. I was really not liking this game. And then as you rank up, as you get more weapons, it's really grown on me. As the game opens up a little bit more, it really does start to feel more like the last few Far Cries, which is what I want. And I've enjoyed it because of that. So I'm still going through it. I want to get a little bit further. I don't know if I'm going to beat the game before I do the review, but I want to at least get a little bit further and have a decent chunk where I feel like I can talk about things. But it's been a roller coaster to go from super hyped to not really liking what I was playing to liking it enough now. Like, it's not setting the world on fire for me, and I still think I like Far Cry 5 better, just because it felt so much more open. But that's partly because you're dealing with like the plains of and mountains of Montana versus like this island map where it's a lot of mountains, and it just feels like there's less open area to do things in. But I don't know, that could just be making things up or imagining it in my head.
It's definitely a jarring change, it looks like, to go from, because I'm still kind of playing Far Cry 5 every now and again, and I could see it being an absolutely jarring change to go from these sweeping plains, giant mountains, just wilderness basically, aside from a few towns, and then it's just like, all right, you're in Havana. That's like, Jesus Christ. Like,
I love the setting. I love the setting in Yara, and there's like one somewhat large town that I've been to so far. I haven't been to like the capital yet, because obviously that's like the highest level area. So I think that could be really cool to explore when I can get to that point, but I wish there were more like city areas, because I feel like that showed up in the trailers a lot, but a lot of it is, the outposts and the mountains and all that kind of stuff, and like these little camps that you're going to and stuff like that. Some of them like are very small. They essentially just act as fast travel points. Then you can take over these checkpoints like you could in other games, where they're just like enemy checkpoints where there's really nothing there after you take it over. It just acts as a fast travel point. But the thing I do love about Far Cry games is that you have the option to fast travel or fast travel like from the air. So like in this game you have a wingsuit where you can fast travel and you just spawn up in the air, and then you can get your wingsuit out. You have a wingsuit if you have a certain sort of building in your camp. And then you can just glide around, and honestly, gliding over the map and just like looking at it and how beautiful it is really cool. I've really
It's really
enjoyed
like
that.
it sounds a lot like Just Cause.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, a lot of people have compared the game, like the Just Cause game series. They're like, Far Cry 6 is a mashup between Far Cry and Just Cause. Sort of. It still feels more Far Cry, but I feel like the setting and some parts of it feel like Just Cause. But anyway, that's what I played this week. Any final words on our gaming diet this week?
Reminder to anyone trying out Back 4 Blood: maybe just start on easy, and then work your way up. Don't start on normal; you'll get really fucking frustrated. We spent maybe 3 to 3.5 hours playing last night. I would say 2 hours and 30, maybe 45 minutes of it were on normal, and we didn't get past the first stage. And then we played on easy, and we got to a reasonable level. So there you go.
Yeah.
You can tell there's a grind that's kind of designed and baked in there.
Yeah.
The game is balanced around having cards.
Yep.
You start off with like none. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. All right, moving on. Let's play a game of Over Under, the second time this has appeared on the show. In Over Under, I give our panelists a game title with a fake Metacritic score or a fake number of copies sold. They have to tell me whether the actual true number is over or under the number that I gave them. Review scores are taken from Metacritic and based on the best scoring launch platform. We'll play 8 rounds. The panelists can make the same guesses, but whoever made the most correct guesses at the end wins. We take game titles and fake number suggestions for Over Under from our $1 plus supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs, where you can message us your suggestion. All right, we ready?
Let's go.
Round
Ready.
1. Animal Crossing New Horizons, a fake score of 92. And we'll go around the horn here. We'll go Mike, then Josh, then Paul, and then we'll rotate through that cycle.
So I'm saying that the correct score is higher.
These are either
than that.
over or under.
Okay. So higher.
Over or under.
Over or under? You ever fucking watch The Price is Right?
Over.
I'm also going over.
I'm also going over.
Real score, 90.
Well, boys, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
All right.
All right, round 2. Alan Wake, fake sales of 2.6 million copies.
Under.
I'll go ahead and take the I don't fucking know and go under.
Over.
Fake sales of 2.6, real sales of 3.2 million.
Oh, damn. Mike Daddy dicking us now. All right.
Round 3, Viva Pinata. A fake score of 82.
Higher. Over.
Under.
Oh, I love Viva Pinata.
I'm saying lots of fun for everyone.
Real score, 84.
Ah, shit in my ass. Come on.
Not in front of the pinatas, Josh.
That's true. There's children at the quinceañera.
The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. Fake sales of 9.5 million.
How much?
Under.
Fake sales of 9.5 million.
I guess I'm just going for the old lines season. We'll go over.
I'm going under.
Real sales of 4.6 million.
Oh my god, I actually am gonna miss a ball.
Next game, Quantum Break. A fake score of 79.
Oh, that's a good one, Matt. That's a good one.
Nah, I think this game sucked dick. Under.
Huh?
I never played it, but it just seemed like it
You
just was
didn't
like
even play it.
it's just like, oh, we're Quantum Break. We're on the new Xbox.
I fucking hate that. Sean Ashmore, fuck that dude.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I love Sean Ashmore.
The Animorphs' own Sean Ashmore.
What?
Wasn't he an Animorphs?
Was he I don't think he was an Animorphs, was he?
Or does he have a
Animorphs
twin?
Was that
does he-
Sean or his brother?
He has a twin
Oh, yeah.
brother. It might have been him, yeah.
They're both
what,
Canadian, though, I think.
what a cursed familial existence.
You're a cursed familial existence.
Over.
Is it 79?
Just to
Yes.
spite Josh.
Quantum Break?
I'm doing it for my boy Bobby. Bobby Drake, Iceman, baby.
I've heard Bobby so much.
I'm
I thought
going
it was
under.
narcotic.
I'm going under.
Real
Come on.
score, 77.
Let's go.
Motherfucker.
No.
Because it's Sean. It's not Sean's fault.
By the way,
No, it's because of Littlefinger.
Sean!
Sean Ashmore, top billing in Animorphs.
Wow.
Wow, look at that. Star of the show.
It wasn't Tobias. Tobias was stuck as a bird the whole fucking
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
No,
Rip-
all
rip
three
for
people
Tobias.
that went to see it in theaters are absolutely literate.
Is Sean the one in The Boys,
TV
or is
show.
it,
It was a TV show, Josh.
God, it was a TV show. Animorphs
Yeah.
TV show. I'm sure the animation in that was stellar.
I used to get it on VHS.
Yeah, it was on
Oh,
Family
God.
Channel here in Canada. Beautiful times. It was made in Canada.
Next game, Mass Effect 2, fake sales of 6.5 million.
Damn, the silence, because I want to. Fuck it. I'm doing my boy right. I'm going over. I'm probably wrong.
Why can I have a standoff here?
I know. I'm just Mass Effect 2, which is how much did you say? 6 point what?
Fake sales of 6.5 million.
Under. God, I hate that I'm saying that, but under.
It's about it. I'm gonna say under. I want to see what Mike said.
Real sales of 5 million.
Yep.
Damn, they should have. They
That
should
was my
have put.
guess.
They
My
should have
guess was
put the
5.
Animorphs in Mass Effect to get more.
Oh fuck
What do they
yeah!
think?
If they had got stuck halfway between a bird and a human, that would have really
Yeah.
killed the game.
I-
Commander Shepherd, more like Commander Sheep, halfway between a sheep and a man. But that shit. I have a lot of fun actually focusing on that very specific.
They called him
scenario.
Shepherd. He just happened to have a bunch of fucking sheep around him. It was a really weird game. I don't really understand.
Yeah.
I think that's an
And then he would turn into a sheep, and
I don't know, it was odd. It was like
24 movie. Yeah.
This really weird episode of VeggieTales. I don't know. It was weird, man.
2 more
Let
games.
my sheeple go.
2 more games. The Stanley Parable, a fake score of 91.
Dog, I've
like
known
that, Mike?
2 of these games.
91?
I That's what I love so much about this game, is it shows how much of a clueless, bumbling fucking idiot I am.
Yeah, same.
Over. Wait, have neither of you played Stanley Parable?
Matt has. I know Matt has. Matt loves it. Matt says
literally?
it's one of the best games.
The only bit of trivia I know about Stanley Parable is that there's an achievement you have to edit the Steam date to get. That's literally all I know.
No, you don't.
Well,
You could just do
can
it.
just play for like 10 years, leave it on for 10 years, whatever it is.
No,
2
no,
years,
it's not
2 years, right?
It's leave it off for 2 years and come back.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
That's right.
that's easy. I've
Oh, I
done that
could-
with games and not even tried.
I could go get it.
I'm gonna go under. Fuck it. I don't know.
I'm gonna say over. I know Matt loves it. That's all I'm basing it on.
Mike, what'd you say?
Over.
I said over.
So a fake score of 91, a real score of 88.
Yeah, no. I was like, that's not a mid 90s game.
Let it be known that I at least get 2 right in over under, boys.
What's our score? What's our score going into the
I have
final
5.
round?
I have 5. Paul has 3. Josh has 2.
Oh, all right. So this is it's a pride thing now. All right.
Who's the least stupid?
Not me.
Final game. Batman Arkham City. Fake sales of 10 million.
Under. God damn.
This is the best. This is the best one.
Yeah.
It's on sale all the fucking time, or was like back when people still played it.
Came off of Asylum's like hype.
The 10's a lot.
10's so much.
That's a lot of bat. That's a lot of
I'm
bat.
going over for the lulz.
Yeah, me too. Like,
Give me 12 mil.
If any
let
Arkham
me
game's gonna go
talk.
over 10, it's got to be Arkham City.
I've never played this either.
Fake sales of 10 million. Real sales of 12.5 million.
You
Hey.
set it up, hey, there you go.
God damn, I got 2. Look who's the fucking idiot. Give me the
Ooh,
dunce
4,
hat, baby.
6, 8. Who do we
Give me the dunce hat. I
appreciate?
deserve it. I've earned it. There we go.
Very nice,
The
Mike.
poop hat.
Love
Very
it,
nice.
love it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're looking a real hoser there.
Yeah, you know, I gotta go down to the old Tim Hortons and get me a couple of coffees.
Just going for a fucking rip, are you, bud?
You're scary with that accent. I don't know I can do that. Oh shit.
All right, let's move on. All right, audience questions. Every week, we address 2 or 3 audience questions, comments, or concerns. We take questions from our supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. Leave your questions in the comments section of the previous episode's post. For the love of God, someone please do it. The $1 tier will get you access to question submissions. We also take submissions at GameGroofs, that's GameGroofs @gmail.com. Someone please email us, and in the YouTube comments.
Matt, just double checking. It's not GAYMEGO
It is not.
GROOFS.
GameGroofs @gmeail.com, and in the YouTube comments. But our patrons will always receive priority.
We're at netzero.net actually.
Cool. Yeah, 100%. AOL.com.
Quality.
First question
We've
comes.
never got mail.
We've never gotten mail. That's not true. We have.
We have. Papa John sends us some deals.
Speaking of which, the first question comes from John.
No way!
Papa John Shatner?
It's not. Papa bless.
What do you hope to see come out of the Halo Infinite Forge? Let's go to you, Paul. What do you hope to see come out of the Halo Infinite Forge? We talked about it a little bit on Replay this past week. GG Replay. Check it out. It's a gaming news breakdown show 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Paul, what do you
Not a lot of meat there.
What are you thinking?
For better or for worse.
What? Didn't even hear what you said.
Sorry, we just talked over each other a lot there. What I will say, what do I hope comes out of the Halo Infinite Forge? A nice pizza pie from Papa John is what I would love to see come out of that hot steaming forge.
Shakaroni, if you will.
Shakaroni. You know, they keep advertising shakaroni to me, and it's like, I'm like, listen, I'm a vegetarian. I'd love to eat a shakaroni if you made it with some like fake pepperonis, but I'm not going to get shakaroni. They always ask it to me like it's like a favor they're asking. Okay, this is
all right. Just so we're clear, this John is not a Papa John's reference. It is a reference to John from
117.
Oh no, this is literally Papa John Shatner. And,
we know that he's not Papa John for a fact. I don't think we do.
They've never been in the same room together.
None of us really know. Yeah, exactly. All right. Moving on. What do you hope to see come out of the Halo Infinite Forge? I hope to see it be fucking amazing. I don't know, 10 years of games. Honestly, what I'm hoping for, and I'll keep it short and simple, which I haven't done so far, but I promise I will now, is a new genre. like the new Dota, the new Battle Royale, the new thing that like every company tries to like spend billions of dollars making. I want to see that come out of Halo Infinite Forge. I really think with the scripting AI and some of the stuff they have here, they just recently added mod tools and went back in MCC on PC and added a lot of stuff to like Halo 1 and Halo 3, and I think Reach, which is really, really cool. And Forge is getting pushed there again, and people are psyched. I think Infinite has the chance to, the possibility with the technology there and the new Forge tools and everything. Again, it's not coming out just yet, but it is going to come out in the new year. I think it could really launch what is the next genre. And I don't know what that is, but I'm really, really excited to see that come out of Forge. I think they're doing everything right now. We haven't seen it come out yet, but I think Halo Infinite multiplayer is doing everything right. I think this is going to blast off, and I think with Forge being free as part of the free-to-play stuff, it's a home run. We're going to see some really crazy shit.
I'll just jump on that because I pretty much have the same answer. I really want to see some really creative people come up with new genres, new game modes, just things we've never seen before. That's always the most exciting thing when you get these sort of in-game editing tools, and especially now that, like, as you mentioned, Forge has scripting abilities. I think we're going to see some really creative stuff and some really innovative stuff, and I really can't wait to just see new genres or new game modes being born in Halo Infinite. And then, yeah, as you said, see these companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars to try to recreate it on their own.
I will say one last thing that I can imagine is a game mode with the AI scripting. They could really get a little crazy with this. We've seen this on PC, every console. We've seen it on mobile. We've seen it on toasters. All of a sudden, there's a black screen. We open up. Your Spartan looks up. Hey, you're finally awake. And it's Skyrim in Halo Infinite Forge. I really think it's possible, and that actually is the thing I'm most hoping for, because it'd be fucking hilarious.
That's good. It's good.
I'm sure the Halo Infinite Forge will also be able to run Doom at some point. The Master Chief already looks close enough to Doom guy; they can make work. All right, Mike, what are your thoughts on the Halo Infinite Forge, and what do you hope to see come out of it?
I wrote very short answer. Griffball.
Of course.
That was my answer.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'll add on to that, if they want to make Squid Games too, that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Oh,
I don't really I didn't have a thought out answer like you guys. I was just like, I want Griffball back.
Okay,
Okay, done.
Kodo Tag. Let's bring Kodo Tag back.
ooh,
Yeah,
Kodo tag.
That's Halo Infinite, right?
Bunny sliding.
Bunny slide, yeah.
Josh, what about you?
I wanted to bring back the active community. I feel like we haven't had a lively active community in a Halo game since Reach. And Reach, I'd argue it really wasn't because of the Forge in Reach. It was more because the multiplayer was just in its best state it's ever been in Halo. That all said, I think, obviously, to Paul's point, I think Infinite has positioned itself in a really unique way. Not necessarily with the campaign, which will probably be straight fucking cheeks. But the multiplayer is probably, I played a little bit of it. It played like ass on the Xbox One because that's a goddamn dinosaur at this point. But it still plays good. It feels fun. It's a good Halo. They improved on the good things in Halo 5, and it's a good Halo Infinite game. So all that said, you have the good, satisfying multiplayer gameplay, and then you add the creativity of people who want to just have a main multiplayer game that they can play when they're not doing some single player shit or something. Like, give them the Forge option. And I think doing this literally almost more unhinged than Halo 3, which to my mind was the best time of Halo Forge, and all, it's when Griffball came out, for God's sakes. I think you just have a lot of really good opportunities here. And hopefully it's not fumbled. Hopefully it seems like 343 is just like training wheels are off. Like, just go for it. Have at. And I think they're handling it really well, and I think that's going to be good. And I think not only that, it's like, if you want to hop on and not worry about playing fucking Slayer and just getting sweaty for a while, just play some zombies. Literally just run through a map that you have to figure out. Play some jumping puzzles, vibe out. It makes Halo into a game that you can spend more of your time on and invest more time into and keep the community more active, as opposed to people just running away the second they realize, Halo 5 is just dog shit. So it's good to see it come back, and hopefully in a meaningful way, which I think it will, because it seems like people are high on it.
Good answers. I think all four of us are really excited about Halo Infinite and the potential that it has. The next question, this one comes in from Steven Spielberg. Big fan of the show, actually. Not a Patreon. He's being a little cheap about it, but he did email us. We all know that video game movies haven't done so well. But what game or franchise do you think would actually make for a good movie or TV series? Mike, let's go to you first on this one. What video game or franchise do you think could make for an actual good movie or TV series, the likes of which we haven't yet seen?
I think that actually a lot of games could do well in a movie TV series. The issue becomes that most movie and TV series focus on kind of recreating and focusing on the main character of the series, trying to like emulate what the game does instead of just using the game environment as a placeholder for the setting. So with that, I think if you go the route of most movies, TV shows, in which they just copy from the source material, Mass Effect would be really good. But I think if you really wanted to make something successful that was more than just copy the main story threads beat for beat, if you made a movie about, or a TV series that was Battlestar Galactica but Halo, I'd be in. I'd be all in.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great.
So let me jump in on that.
I think Spielberg was actually trying to do that, wasn't he?
So let me jump in on that. It's weird that it's not like really well known, but a Halo TV series is coming out next year, and it's
Yep.
going to be on Paramount Plus. And I think it could potentially be good, but the cast worries me a little bit. It's not an impressive cast. Typically, like obviously Game of Thrones, they had Sean Bean, but a lot of unknowns became big, right? A lot of TV series do that. The problem is these are people who have been acting for a while. It's not just unknowns, it's just like F-list actors. So I'm a little bit worried about the Halo TV series, but we'll have to see how that goes. As far as what else I think Spyro could really make for a good successful family movie.
Yep.
Yeah, children's animated movies do really well. I think Spyro, you could throw in a little bit of crude humor for the parents here and there, and I think that could work out. The Ratchet and Clank movie didn't do super well, but I think there's a little bit of an edge to Spyro. I know Ratchet and Clank is supposed to have that edge, especially with the innuendos and like the game titles and stuff, but the reboot movie really didn't.
Ratchet and Clank had a movie?
It did, and that's what the 2016 game was actually based on, was the movie.
Wow.
And yeah, so it was kind of impressive how the game was so good because of it. Like a lot of the cutscenes in the game were directly from the movie.
Ah, so
But
I learned.
I think Spyro could make for something like that. I think a Saints Row movie could be really fun. Like, I didn't like how Saints Row jumped the shark in the games, but I think as a movie, it could actually be hilarious and really well done. And then finally, I think Horizon is just ripe for a movie. Honestly, I'd be surprised if we don't eventually see a Horizon movie at some point. I think it's just perfect. I think it sets up perfectly. You have the big CGI mechanic dinosaurs. You have your strong female lead, which is something that Hollywood has definitely been trying to do lately, and I think it would just work out perfectly. Aloy's a great character. The world is really interesting. You've got the awesome effects that you could have in the movie. I just think it would work out really well, and I'd be really surprised if Sony doesn't make it happen at some point. What about you, Josh? What are you thinking?
I got big shout outs to Uno. No, I would say probably Hades. I mean, the Hades story is fun as it is. It's kind of simple at baseline, but as you dive into the characters more, like the characters are some of the most well written characters like in a game like to this point. And I think you just have a lot of fun base material to work off of, like stuff that's already there. I mean, you could basically say it's literally already there. I mean, it's just mythology, but like it's still like it's unique. The way that like your main character, who I literally can't remember his name right now,
Zagreus.
God bless you, Zag. He's an enjoyable main character. He could be someone you could rally around, and there's just so many fun side characters you can work with that you could have a fun little either animated or just live action movie. Who knows?
And everyone's sexy.
That's true. Get your dicks out, boys, because it'd be a really hot and sexy movie.
Or girls. Get your dicks out, girls.
Mm-hmm, yep.
Yeah, everyone get your dicks out.
Yeah. Harambe is here.
I do think it'd be a good movie, though. I think it'd be fun. Anyways, speaking of Warcraft the movie, fuck you.
Wow.
What?
Yeah,
It's
Matt and I both famously actually, I would say love to love the Warcraft movie.
Yeah.
it's so bad it's good because there's so many things about it that's like I liked about it. But
I
then there's other
maintain-
parts.
I don't think it was a perfect like adaptation, but I just weirdly was entranced the whole time. Like the movie was just fun to watch.
You want to know what the issue was? The main character, whoever played him, he was ass trash. He was the most unlikable fucking person
I agree.
since I don't even know who. Like, just terrible, awful.
But the
Yeah.
rest was great.
Everybody else was great.
I mean, he gave you a little bit of recognition, being the lead on Vikings. Travis Fimmels, who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Playing Lothar. I think Lothar was a weird character to be your lead, but
Yep.
obviously, I don't know. They
He could have been a good like Tyrallion or something.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, Duncan Jones was the right person to direct this movie. The
Mhm.
problem is, I think the studio had too much say. I think the studio killed pacing. Like, that's my biggest issue with the movie is the pacing is really bad, and because of that, a lot of stuff that was cut took out exposition for audience members that weren't into Warcraft. But I will say,
It was really nichey, but it was marketed to like the general audience, which was weird.
right?
Yeah,
I will say though, like, because I heard about the complaints of people not understanding what the hell was going on, and critics were writing about that same thing as well. After the movie, I asked my wife, I'm like, were you able to follow? And she was like, yeah, it was fine. She like knew character names and stuff. So I don't know if like people just weren't paying attention or what.
Yeah.
But like this guy,
That happened with Rachel too. We watched it together, and like she plays WoW, but like it isn't like super deep in the story. And she came away being like, that was such a cool movie. So
I just
don't
think
know.
the Warcraft movie was so unfairly reviewed. Like, it got worse reviews. It has a lower Rotten Tomato score than a lot of like objectively really bad movies, and it's got a lower score than other video game movies that are clearly worse. I mean, I think the CGI alone in the Warcraft
CG
movie
is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's the best of the video game movies, I think, by and large. I will agree with you there. Like, I mean, Assassin's Creed was trash. So I mean,
it was Assassin's Creed was so bad, and I was. People, and I knew that going in, people were saying, "Oh, this is so bad." I'm like, it can't really be that bad. It's got Marion Cotillard and Michael Fassbender.
Yeah,
Oh no,
it was bad.
It was terrible.
It was
It was
really
so bad. I wanted it to be good, but it was just so bad. I don't even know if I finished the movie, to be honest.
I forgot that even
I did.
happened.
Anyway, Paul,
Good.
let's go to you.
Yeah, I think I'm great here. I think people would wish they had my experience. They go to like try to find the Men in Black and get neuralized. Okay, Matt got a few answers here, so I'm going to take a couple here myself quickly. Just my first thing that came to my mind when I was trying to come up with like a cop-out answer that's easy. BioShock is just a sick-ass universe. I think the basic storyline's pretty straightforward. The setting's obviously really fucking amazing. You can have a bunch of guys come in and be like, "Hey, yes, Ayn Rand. It was really good, right? See?" And
The
then
movie was
also-
supposed to happen.
Yeah, I know. It's rife for a movie. It feels more like a movie than a game in some ways. And so, yeah, I think that's a sick ass idea. I'll say as like a kid thing that I think would be really, really cool is Untitled Goose Game. Just has such a Netflix kids show vibe that it's crazy to me. I can just imagine that music, that do 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 do, just like this classical music, and just a fucking like goose going over and grabbing picnic benches, and kids watching it, like, oh, that's fucking hilarious. Like, I mean, like 3-year-olds, it's like little kids, and maybe the goose learned something. I don't know, but that's we all learn a little something. So that one I thought was pretty good too, and. Oh, God help me. I had another one that I thought was really good, but I plumb forgot it. So there you go.
I want to note that no one's saying Mario.
Oh, well,
you know
you
what?
mean Chris Pratt, the famous Italian?
He's so cool.
he is so cool.
So cool.
My favorite Mario Italian accent is, "Hey, I'm Chris Pratt."
My favorite Mario moment is when he's taming velociraptors.
I love that bit.
I like where he gets turned to fucking dust by an intergalactic madman.
I honestly think
Really
that's a
good.
great story. To see Mario get fucking snapped would actually be pretty rad. He looks over at Waluigi with a sad face. Waluigi looks at him. They hug as they get snapped.
No, Wario back in the background.
Yeah.
Goal.
Wario's like picking his own ass and like eating it as he gets snapped.
Jesus. Anyway, that's our Mario fanfic. Avengers Mario crossover.
Fanfiction.net.
All right, speaking of movie pitches, let's move into the pitch meeting. In pitch meeting, our panelists and myself have to pitch a game by combining 2 or 3 existing games and telling us which features we'll take from those games. Josh is cracking up.
Yo, I can't stop thinking about Donkey Kong just sitting in a fucking corner with red ass eyes.
Imagine Donkey Kong fucking wins and be like, yeah, Mario, you stole. I was originally the fucking Nintendo mascot. You stole my shit. But who's laughing, you dusty bitch? I feel like Donkey Kong, who would be Thanos in this scenario though? Bowser, right? Or is it secretly Dry Bones or Dry Bowser?
It's actually Sonic.
Oh God, no! Stop! No. Okay.
He's got the
crossover.
Chaos Emeralds are the Infinity
Chaos
Gems.
Emeralds, the crossover. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
So as I was
My
saying,
favorites.
pitch meeting.
He just pitched you your
Let me
game.
let me start over
yeah.
here. In pitch
Yeah.
meeting, our
Sonic
panelists.
loses at the Olympics. Snaps.
You know, I've had trouble reading a segment before, but not like this. Not like this.
We're rowdy, boys. We're rowdy as hell today.
In pitch meeting, our panelists and myself have to pitch a game by combining 2 or 3 existing games and telling us which features we'll take from those games to make it fun and interesting. For example, you might pitch something like Dark Souls meets Animal Crossing meets Tower Defense, where you defend your custom-built home from various villagers before fighting the final boss, a disgustingly horrifying Tom Nook. The 3 other members of the panel will vote on the pitch. If you get at least 2/3 of the vote from today's panelists, your project is greenlit. Here are today's project parameters, the pitch parameters. Session-based multiplayer game. All right, Paul, let's hear your pitch first. You enter the Shark Tank, if you will.
All right, sharks. I'm a little lowly guppy, but I'm hoping maybe I can be a symbiotic remora and I can jump onto the sides of you and use your money to become another beautiful man in the gaming industry.
I know up there it's the Dragon's Den, so we'll call it the Dragon's Den.
Oh yeah, I love Dragon's Den. It's a good show. Both have Robert Herjavec. So there you go. In Shark Tank and crossover. And Canada's Trump, Kevin O'Leary. All right. So yeah, let's hear it. So this is an idea. I will say Rachel inspired this idea, but I did come up with a good plan for this. So in that it is Sea of Thieves, right? You're imagining that base gameplay, right? But meets fucking Redwall or Mouse Guard. Hear me out. You're a squirrel. You're in a forest. You drop in with your buddies. You have to run around to different trees. There's different factions. There is, as Rachel said, a turtle. There's a wise old tortoise. He gives you hats. There is only during the winter that the seasons change the map, by the way. Only during the winter, maybe you could play as an Arctic hare. But you are a squirrel. You have to run around. You have to get nuts from various places. You hand in the nuts to different factions, and in that you can get different cosmetics, different currencies. Obviously, there's squirrel-based puzzles, 3D platforming. There's a lot of like emphasis on running away from stuff, but also there is some fighting too. There's some combat in this as well. And maybe there's some squirrel armor. We don't need to get too crazy into the humanoid aspects of this. They are mostly animals. But I'm thinking, generally a forest critter based lobby game, very similar to Sea of Thieves. You run around and get treasure, and there happens to be some light combat and exploration as well. Now, obviously, we don't have the seafaring stuff at Sea of Thieves, which is pretty nice. But you know what? Maybe there's some other stuff. Maybe you can ride around on certain other animals as a squirrel. Maybe you mount a cat, but not in that way. Just ride on its back. There's a lot of options. So I haven't figured out all of the details. Just that maybe you skateboard around paths in the forest. I haven't decided, but the point is, I'm thinking squirrel-based lobby multiplayer Sea of Thieves.
Goddamn.
Mike, are you in or out?
So You got me with the Redwall because I read all of those books when I was little. They're fantastic. But I don't know that I want to be a squirrel. Like, if you're taking inspiration from
Yep.
Redwall, you got the hares that have Cockney accents. You've
Sure.
got the badgers with their blood fury. Like,
Mhm.
why are you only
Mouse.
taking squirrels?
Of course. You know what? I take that into consideration. The initial idea was based on squirrels, but you know what? If you're
He
willing
was trying to
to
sell it to me. Let's be honest.
if you're willing, yeah, it was helpful. If you're willing to partner with me, if you're willing to buy a stake of this, I could definitely see opening up. I don't want to. I don't want to like. I'm not willing to, corrupt the vision. But I also considered, I was kind of selling to Matt, to this man here. So I will say, in that I could open up to Arctic hares, I could open up to badgers, I could open up to mice and rats and various others.
Wait, rats. Oh, we can play as the enemy faction then?
Absolutely, you can. Yeah, don't fucking try to get at me with not knowing the
boy.
lore here. You can play anything. You can play anything. Let's make. I don't want to make it an MMO light yet. I'm not sure. That's not really what we're going for here. But I could open up to that. Maybe we can talk about this. I know we're mainly pitching for session based, but once the money's out of this a little bit, once we haven't got this guy up here telling us what to do, we can maybe talk MMO light here.
Listen, I've wanted a Redwall game since I was really little and then grew out of it, but if you made one, I'd be in regardless. So yeah, of course I'm in.
Excellent.
Just giving you a hard time.
Thank you.
Josh, you in or out?
What the fuck even is this game?
The best fucking game you've ever heard of. What are you talking about?
So let me get.
You got any questions? Yeah.
Let me just get this straight. So we're talking Sea of Thieves, right?
Sure.
Exploration boats,
Uh-huh,
and then we're effectively baseline. We're talking rodents.
Yeah.
All right.
And other small mammals.
Other small mammals. So theoretically, we could explode some varmints in this game.
100%. And
Okay,
you, as a varmint, can get exploded.
Okay, that's good.
You could drop boulders on other varmints, and you can catapult them with cute little stick-built trebuchets. I don't know. You can do whatever you want.
Okay. So we can yeet some small mammals here. You love to see it.
I mean,
now,
you do. It seems. Yeah.
Do we have like customization? Like, can I make my badger look really like fresh to death? Like,
yeah, 100%. 100%. There's going to be cosmetics. That's a big part, right? So I mean, when we're talking about trading in nuts for things to different factions, a lot of that's based on cosmetics. Right, so there's not going to be like a power-up system per se. You're not going to get stronger as the different things. Maybe each race could have a certain thing that gives them an advantage, but ultimately, what you're grinding for is cosmetics. You're not grinding. Most of the game is about gameplay and the enjoyability of the world, like in Sea of Thieves, and it's less so. So yeah, you can do some crazy shit to your badger. Like I'm talking, if you want to give it a purple mohawk, we'll see about that.
I like your pitch at least. I think, you know what? Just for that reason alone, I'm gonna give you 1-2 gabagoo. I'm in.
Oh, all right.
Appreciate it.
Paul, I have one question for you. Can we get the Redwall license?
So I looked into it. They're pretty stingy about it. I'll be honest. I called their main office. They wouldn't speak to me.
Okay.
Yeah. I got. But here's the thing. I mean, it's pretty fucking like, it's just animals who talk. I think we can and it's like dark. I think we can, like, Mouse Guard isn't Redwall, and that shit's the same thing. So we can do this. We don't need their names. We'll call it whatever we want.
No. My decision is based on if we can get the license or not.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'll give you. My last thing. You guys, I have Mike here and I have Josh backing me. If with your backing and enough support here, I think we can come to them with a strong front, a united front. We can get that license.
All right, I'm in. Let's do it.
Thank you.
Interestingly enough, the Redwall license was given to a game in 2019.
Yeah, I remember a buddy of ours. We were both following that.
Really?
I did remember that, but I couldn't quite remember.
Is the game
The Lost Legends of Redwall: The Scout by Soma Games?
It's in development?
No, it's available.
Oh, all right. So it's probably not that great. Haven't heard of it.
Not my game.
All right. Mike, let's hear your pitch.
So, gathering, crafting games are clearly all the rage. People are playing New World. People played Valheim. People seem to have forgotten that Valheim is just a better New World. But let's take Valheim, right? Session-based multiplayer game. Let's merge it with one of the most popular Japanese games out there. All right, so you land on a beach, right? and you got to build your settlement and whatnot, and you have to gather around, right? You have to gather materials and stuff, and when you're gathering, it's really obvious which ones you can gather and can't gather yet as you level up and whatnot. So there will be number ones out there that you can gather, and then there'll be like number twos and threes and fours.
Not again, Mike. You did it again.
You need to gather these because in order to craft certain things, you'll have to do Sudoku puzzles.
Oh, God damn it. I figured it out right before you said the word Sudoku. No.
And it gets better. There is a meta like quest line that you have to do. The entire world is actually one giant Sudoku puzzle.
Of course.
So you have to figure out where in the world the numbers are carved into the ground, figure out what they are, and then go and craft larger monuments of numbers in the other spaces. And once you finish that, well, you'll see what happens with the final boss.
Okay, well, I'll go first. I'm out. Josh?
I'd like to just mention before we really dive into the meat and potatoes of my answer, that I almost failed remedial math, and for that reason I'm out.
What if I told you there's no math involved with Sudoku?
It's true.
I would disagree with you, mainly just because I'm a fucking idiot. I'm out.
Are there numbers? Then there's math.
So
the math I do doesn't have numbers.
Well,
all right.
True.
All right. So here's what I'll say, because I'm pretty interested. Now, last time you pitched a Sudoku game when you did the pitch meeting, right? Can you remind me what was that? Do you remember what that was?
Battle Royale mixed with Sudoku. Yeah.
So interesting. So I thought that was good, but I didn't know if it worked super well in the Battle Royale stream, but I did think that was a unique, interesting idea. This one I think is a puzzle game. It's like an indie solo game. Actually makes a lot of sense to me. I think there's a huge, when you have people who play stuff like Potion Craft, or you have people who play stuff that's like pretty nichey and theory crafty, I think there's like a huge niche for this. I will say, do you think this is like what's your like? I have a budget, obviously, but do you think this would be like an indie, like a smaller game? Do you think this would be something one could develop on their own, or maybe with a small team?
Oh yeah.
I think in that
100%.
scenario, I'm 100% in. I think this is a niche game that would do really, really well amongst a certain crowd. And I think if you didn't like lean too hard on the Sudoku name too, and just kind of like pretended like Sudoku didn't exist and made a game like this, people wouldn't even think about Sudoku and would like just love it. And then people would be like, hey, by the way, this is just Sudoku. If you want like more content, they'd be like, really? Wow, they did it so well. 100% in.
All right. Well, Mike,
Thank you, Paul.
You don't pass the pitch, but you do have a fan in Paul.
Huge fan. And I'll say I don't play Sudoku, but I just I think there's a huge market for it.
All right, here's my pitch. My project is an asymmetrical payday meets tower defense PvP. All right, let me explain. You got one team of 2 to 4 playing in first person, like a first person shooter. They're trying to pull off a heist with a bank robbery or museum or something like that. Versus one player who's playing as a security guard trying to manage various alarms, cameras, locks, all that kind of stuff. Now, the one player playing on their own might not even be in first person. And maybe it's some sort of top-down perspective with a fog of war effect, or they only see inside the control room that they're in and the tools that they have in there or something like that. But they're doing that while the group of somewhere between 2 and 4 are trying to pull off the heist, and you got the one security guard player trying to stop it from happening. All right, what are we thinking here?
I'll go first and just say that I think this is a really, really good idea. I like it a lot. I love the idea of, I think asymmetrical PvP games are interesting, but I think often it's just, this person has to be faster to chase them, but you're all playing the same kind of way. I think an idea based around someone being stuck in a room but having control, and maybe there's other games like this, but I can't think of any off the top of my head, where people are trying to go through a game in a totally different system. Basically, you're running through rooms in first person trying to do stuff, and someone is actually behind the scenes fucking their shit up. Is actually really, really interesting. It's like a god mode, but it's from this like security room, and you're not exactly in god mode because there's a lot of limitations. There could be an idea like where you like release smoke in a room to panic people and they start running around, or you can like do stuff or like lock a certain door and that like limits them to going down a certain way, or maybe you've set something up, and again, it's like keeping them from getting out or keeping them from pulling off their heist, right? But I mean, you can't necessarily just take them out, right? So I think there's a lot of creativity there. It reminds me a lot of like a good board game idea. I think that there'd be something like this, trying to escape. There's this great game I like called Magic Maze, where you have to like you're a bunch of dwarves trying to rob a bank or something, and you have to escape through all these tunnels or something. And it's a lot of fun. But I think the idea that someone could actually enable those traps and it's not just RNG and cards and stuff is actually really, really interesting. So I'm 100% in. That's a really, really cool idea. Actually, like I like that it's not even really based on like the like the uniqueness of the setting, like an idea like mine, but it's actually like a cool mechanic. So I'm in.
Josh, what are we thinking?
I like everything you actually have on offer here. Now, do I think it's a game I'd play? Probably not. But
That's fair.
I think you've got enough going here that I think people may actually like this. That, and it's unironically to me the first game that's been mentioned that's like it could legitimately be a game. You know what? Fuck it. I'm throwing my hat in the ring. But sorry, Mike. I know your Sudoku crafting is
Hey, listen, you know what? They can make mine. It sounds like vaporware, but it would get made. It would just be a tenth of what it was supposed to be promised.
That's true. It would be on Miniclip. It'd be the next great RuneScape.
It'd be Ghost of a Tale, is what it would be.
Ghost of a Rodent Tsushima.
Yeah.
I'm in. Fuck it.
Mike, thoughts?
I like asymmetrical games. It sounds very similar to some of the Nintendo Land games that released for the Wii U. It sounds very similar to the Arkham Origins multiplayer game mode.
I was waiting for Mike to tell me the games that it's like, because I was like, I feel like this should have existed, but it might have. I just have no fucking idea.
Definitely exists in some capacity. Whether or not that capacity is good is the question, because all right, here's the issue.
Could be a
asymmetrical
Gmod game.
games are extremely difficult to balance and make feel fair because you've got one against multiple people. It's kind of an issue that Dead by Daylight has, where a win for a killer is actually killing 3 people, which means 2 kills, 1 kill is a loss. But for a survivor, if you die, you lose. So it kind of just feels bad when you're the one that dies. So I guess is this going to be a AAA game? Is this going to be a AA game? What are we thinking here?
I'm thinking with the budget that I think we can get, I'm thinking it's going to be some sort of AA thing. It's going on Steam. Maybe if we have some success, we can port it to consoles. But it's mostly gonna be a PC darling.
Another Payday kind of thing, right? I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You already have 2 backers. I'm gonna stay on this side of the fence on this one. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think it's a smash hit idea. I think it could be a smash hit, but unlikely.
Fair enough.
Mike the business major at it again.
All right. Our final pitch. Josh, let's hear your idea for your pitch for a session-based multiplayer game.
Well, this is going to be nothing but the most incredible game you've all ever heard, and nothing but entirely 100% serious. All right.
It's Sudoku cross with Sudoku.
Sudoku Animal Crossing. Every minigame in Animal Crossing has now been replaced with Sudoku.
That would be popular in Japan.
I'd rather drop fucking dead. So we all love The Sims, right? I mean, to some extent, it's just kind of fun to build up your home. Have a nice place for you and yours, impregnate half the town. Whatever.
With 5,000 hours.
Exactly. You could knock up anybody. You can get knocked up as much as you want. You could literally have a bloodline similar to that of West Virginia. Literally, just intermingles incredibly well. So now that you have this,
to our listeners in West Virginia, he didn't mean that. All right, go ahead.
Shout out to Ish.
Yeah. Can you understand can you understand language spoken to you if you're from West Virginia? Or is that...
Okay, moving on. Josh, continue.
So you have these intermingled families. You have your lovely home that you've built up. You've saved up for that incredible oven. All right, you're relaxing.
Yeah, you got to put some buns in it.
You're relaxing in your house, and then all of a sudden, Udex Gundyr from Dark Souls 3 wanders up to your home.
Oh shit!
And then your camera suddenly focuses into the house, and you are suddenly your sim, and you have to find an item in your house to fight Udex Gundyr with. You have to, if you've made a rotten bowl of macaroni and cheese, you now have to go grab that rotten bowl of macaroni and cheese and fight this hulking motherfucker with it. You can summon your inbred lineage to your home to help fight this hulking menace. And guess what? You'll have a blast doing it. Who knows? Maybe even you hit old Udex Gundyr with the classic, build the pool, have him go for a little swim, get that ladder out of there, and he's done. He's toasty, baby. Trap him in the house, get a couple old shitty ovens in there, bada boom, he's done. He's Dungeon Ringed, it's over. So, that's what I'm saying. We're offering a building simulator with, familial relationships, mixed with a little bit of Dark Souls style combat. Maybe your boss from the office comes down, to beat you up, and you now have to kill him with rotten macaroni and cheese. What are we thinking here? Whoever wants to go first.
Let me ask you this question. This is what it really hinges on for me. Can we get the rights to Dark Souls 3 bosses?
I think we might be able to. Based on my talks and emails back and forth, they've really been interested in building Udex Gundyr a really nice double wide.
No. This is
fine. I promise.
I was honest that they never emailed me back.
Vort of the Boreal Valley has really been looking for a good summer home. It's really cold where he's at. And perhaps the option is there. Based on the few emails I've sent.
Okay, interesting. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to talk with. I'm gonna have to get on the horn with Miyazaki, and we'll try to hash things out. Get some rights to the Dark Souls 3 bosses. So it hinges on that. So right now, it's a maybe unless we can get the rights.
Well, we'll get the rights. Don't you worry.
Mike, what about you? Shut the fuck up, Paul. Mike.
Jesus.
Wow. You know what, Paul? You can go.
No, he can't.
He's had his day.
All right.
Okay, fine. I noted that there was a distinct lack of Sudoku in this, so I'm out.
You know what? If that's really all it takes, I'll add Sudoku as a minigame for the newspaper.
I'm out.
No, I don't need to be associated with you and whatever crimes indicate you're trying to start.
Listen to this.
I'm out.
The second Matt says he wants the license, this fucking guy, Josh, comes in, says, we got the license. I've been talking to people. We're going to get it. Second, Mike says, I need Sudoku. He's willing to compromise his vision for Sudoku.
No. It's not a compromised vision. Look, perhaps you could bore the bosses to death with Sudoku.
I just feel like this is the problem. You don't have a stick-to-itiveness here. But here's what I'll say. Is that there's a couple. Okay, so I have a couple points here. I have a lot to ask. First off, how dare you? No, first off, every time you said the name of one of these characters, it felt like you were just infringing copyright by even invoking their name. I feel like they may have asked you to never say it publicly again.
See, but that can either be proven nor disproven, mainly because it hasn't been taken to a court of law.
100%. So we got Udex Gundyr, right? So I have a couple questions. First off, I will say kudos to you for letting you kill this character in a pool, because you have not been able to kill a character in a pool in Sims 4. So that's something that's actually out of the Sims right now. So you're putting that feature back, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So killing essential.
This might actually be better than Sims 4 in that respect. Yep. It's pretty hard to kill your sim right now. I will say, so I got to ask, can you put someone in a basement, light on fire, block all the doors?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Cool. I mean, put you and your lineage down there, make them fight, Vort of the Boreal Valley. Let him have that down there.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so here's my other question. Let's say, you're living your life, you're having your sim game. He shows up. starts fucking your house up. You have to hit him with the rotten macaroni. You hit him, he goes down, he's dead. What happens next in the game?
So actually, he comes back to life, and then your wife, who you've cheated on a couple different times, leaves the house. Vort wakes up, leaves the house, goes back to his house and fucks
Did she
your
cheat
wife.
on you with Vort? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no. There's a whole lineage here with these Dark Soul bosses.
But what are you doing? It sounds like a cutscene. Is this like a Kojima game where you're watching like hour-long cutscenes?
No, it's just when you're exploring the world, really. Whatever, Sim Plaza, we'll call it. You go down to the Sim Plaza, you see your wife hitting up the old bar.
So the game goes back to sim, like overworld, like over style game.
Exactly.
You're no longer in first person
with
third person. Yeah.
With action RPG combat thrown in. Exactly.
Okay, so there's pieces where it goes into action RPG, and then you pull back to Sims, but the world is forever changed by what happened during the action RPG combat.
Exactly.
Here's what I'll say: this feels shit. This feels like the kind of thing. Let me continue. This feels like the kind of thing like Octodad or some bullshit game that's meant to be garbage. In that sense, I think there's people who would play this game. I think people would be interested in how jank and weird and fucked up it is, and how it's like known for being weird. I think the biggest issue you're going to run into is copyright from both Maxis and from Software. I think you're going to have a lot of issues with both of those companies.
Yeah.
And EA for sure, yeah. But you know what? Even though I don't trust you, I'm gonna wish you luck. I'm gonna wish you luck. I'm not gonna back the game. I'm not gonna back the game. Did I get your hopes up? I'm sorry about that. I'm not gonna back it, but I do wish you luck. I have a number of some buddies who are into this kind of shit and might be willing to take a gamble on a shyster like yourself.
I appreciate your good luck. Also, fuck you.
Let me get you a phone number for THQ Nordic, and maybe they can make your dream come true.
Activision Blizzard's pretty desperate at this point. I think they might be willing to do something.
Yeah, at this point, it's actually just Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning Wayward 2. That's the game.
Re-reckoning.
What do you think?
Re-reckoning.
All right, let's move on.
I just want to say I got the clean sweep, so I win, right? Is that how it works? Is there a winner?
Paul, you can win the episode.
Thank you very much. Don't patronize me. I won the segment. I won the segment. That's all.
Mike did win.
And I won. And I won. Name that game. So I think we're. Oh no,
No,
Mike
Mike,
won name that game.
You won trending.
And I won over under.
Trending topics. So Mike and I
trending
tied.
topics isn't really a game. You guys
I won
are.
two games.
Fuck yourself. All my answers were really logical. Don't go back now and retcon what's a real game and what
I'm
isn't.
retconning trending topics. It's not a real mini.
I'm just eating glue down here in the bottom right corner. Like, y'all won games? What the fuck?
Josh, quiet. Mommy and Daddy are talking.
All right, let's end the show. Let's get on with the final segment here, News Bytes. Each panelist is going to shine some light on a small piece of gaming news from the past week that might not have gotten the attention it deserved. I'll start off. This is sort of a PSA. Windows 11 is apparently slowing down some CPUs, especially AMD's, right now. So I recommend holding off on the update until things are worked out.
It's so shit.
I'm going to hold off. For a long time, I think. I'm just not going to do it until my computer tells me to, so I recommend others do the same, or at least keep track of how...
It's fine. It's fine.
All right, Paul won't be on next week's episode. All right,
That's fine. We play Back for Blood anyway.
Mike, your news bite for this week.
Something really interesting that I found. Not at all while we were on this episode because I forgot to do my homework. Apparently, Seattle Seahawks are launching a new gaming club.
Oh.
Where they're going to establish tournaments, 50 different tournaments throughout their season. It's called Seahawks Sandbox. Kind of neat. I don't know much else about it, but I found it and I thought it was an interesting article because it was very random.
Well, it's kind of funny. There are a lot of professional sports team owners that now are also owners or part owners of esports teams, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
and like former players and stuff too, like Rick Fox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Magic Johnson owns something. Yeah. Paul, your news bite.
Yeah, so Funcom, we all love them. They're definitely not a shit ass company. We do love Conan Exiles for sure. I think that's a fun game. I think most of us can agree that there's a lot of interesting tidbits of goodness in there, but ultimately it's a buggy ass mess. Here's the issue. They actually have new projects underway. That's the issue because it's whether or not you're interested. So they basically they put a tweet this week saying they have a whole bunch of people joining the team in September, and now they are opening up even more careers because they have some exciting projects underway. Yes, including their Dune game. Pardon me. Dune.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like
So
Conan Exiles, right?
they have it. Well, it might be an MMO light, but they haven't 100% confirmed. It could be an MMO. It could be something a little bit more intense, but we're thinking it might be a Conan Exiles, but Dune, but maybe a little bit better. I mean, listen, like I think this is kind of interesting to look at. I mean, obviously we knew this game was coming out, but it's interesting to see them kind of update and just say, hey, we're working on this and we're building the team and we're growing it too. We're not just using the internal team we have. Obviously, they're not using a lot of those people on Conan right now because the same fucking bugs and the same cosmetic DLCs are just hanging around in there. So they're certainly not like doing a ton of shit on Conan right now. So it seems like Dune might have a bigger, more expansive kind of development going on. So I'm excited. I don't know a lot about Dune. I'll be honest. I haven't read the book. I am pretty excited for the movie. I will be seeing that in theaters in the next few weeks, which will be cool when that comes out. And I am thinking I might try to go back and try to read the book. So yeah, I think this could be cool. I think the setting's good. I worry it might be a little too close to being like Conan Exiles, like a little too similar, just because it's another deserty, weird, adventure-y open world game. But it could be something really, really cool. I want to highlight really quickly someone's great Reddit comment that was, I know there's no company I trust more than Funcom, and that's trust to fuck it up. So we'll see how that goes.
Dune in theaters and on HBO Max on October 22nd.
Sponsor.
I wish we were sponsored by Dune.
Sponsored by Legendary Pictures, which also produced the Warcraft movie.
And sponsored by AFK Arena. When you don't want to play Raid of Shadow Legends, we got this.
Or when you can't play Back for Blood, you have that.
All right.
Oh, no.
Josh, your news bite.
It's only gonna be Matt and Josh on next week's episode.
Josh's news bite, and we'll get out of here.
All right, so I'll keep it short and sweet. It was really nice, and I feel like obviously on Twitch-based platforms and WoW-based platforms, it got news. But Asmongold and Rich Campbell having a really genuine, heartfelt interview with Yoshi P of Final Fantasy. It was, I feel like it didn't get quite as much traction as it could have, other than places on like Reddit and Twitter and shit. But like other than that, I mean, it really feel like it wasn't picked up as much by like major news sites. And it was good. It was genuinely heartfelt. Yoshi P showed what kind of good guy he is while I'm not playing Final Fantasy at present. It's like dude genuinely cares about his game, cares about what the players think, and wants to get genuine feedback. And I think he showed that by getting two people who showed genuine interest in the game, picked it up, started playing it, and he was like, yeah, let's do this shit. It was just nice to see. And if more game developers could be as open and transparent as Yoshi P, I feel like would be in a much better spot gaming wise.
Interesting. I didn't actually know that they had an interview together. Was there a translator, or did Yoshi P do the interview in English?
No. There was a translator, and she was actually fantastic as well.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
It was good. It was good. It's a really good interview.
I'll have to check that out. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us here on the Game Groofs podcast, the all-encompassing gaming podcast from the Goodnight Groofs. If you really like the show, we encourage you to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs, where we currently have 3 different tiers available. Any and all support is greatly appreciated and will go a long way in improving everything here at the Goodnight Groofs. The $3 plus tier will get you access to this very show, 2 days early. So you can listen on Friday or watch on Friday instead of Sunday. A special shout out to all of our patrons currently supporting us in the $5 plus tier, Ishmael S. and Rachel S. A round of applause, please.
Good answer.
We also ask that you take a couple minutes to drop a 5-star, count 'em, 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or leave a like and comment on the YouTube video, because everything helps. Everything's going to help us. Make sure to check out goodnightgroofs.com for all of our content, where you'll find the blog, GG Replay, this podcast, game reviews, and more coming soon. Guys, any last thoughts?
Boil your eggs for 4 to 5 minutes for a runny yolk.
That'll do it for us here today. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.